Problems at home and abroad, the international scene does give cause for concern. The violence in the Middle East gives rise to fears of a new Middle East war. Make no mistake about the origins of this. Terror group Hamas sent rockets deep into Israel. At least 3 missiles were also fired from Lebanon. What were the Israeli air and ground forces meant to do? But needless to say, at the centre of all of this is the inept and incompetent President of the United States of America. The Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has been pretty straightforward. He said the ground attack on Gaza will continue if Hamas maintains its rocket fire. Not to be messed around with, Netanyahu said, and I quote, "We're doing this and we'll continue to do so. The final word has not been said, and this operation will continue as long as necessary in order to restore calm and security to the state of Israel," unquote. There are political overtones to all of this. On the one hand, Hamas increasingly is unpopular amongst Palestinians and Netanyahu potentially heading into a 5th election. But Biden is the problem. As the former Obama administration State Department official Brett Bruen said, quote, "Biden came into office and tried to put the Israel issue on the back burner. Biden hopes that it'll go away, that his advisors can handle it. When America chooses to focus," he said, "on internal issues, it leads, unfortunately, to an exacerbation of the challenges when America is not paying attention at the highest levels of government to what's happening in the world," unquote. Well, all of that is true, but how on earth could a 78-year-old in cognitive decline comprehend, let alone address these issues? Can you imagine this bloke in dialogue with world leaders?
But I made very clear to Putin that we're not going to seek escalation.
Oh, God. Look, it's far worse than all of this. Hamas have launched more than 1,000 rockets and missiles from Gaza, targeting Israeli civilians. It is the most violent escalation between the two sides since 2014. Lefties will, of course, condemn Israel for its self-defence. The pretext for the Hamas attack relates to concerns about mosques on the Temple Mount and a rather complex East Jerusalem property dispute. But the real reason is that Hamas and its allies are testing Biden to see what concessions might be achievable under weak American leadership. While Biden is calling on both sides to show restraint, he is at the same time intimating that he favours Palestinians in the property dispute. Let's get this quite clear. Biden's lefty advisors are speaking with forked tongues. Yes, support Israel's right to defend itself, but wink, wink, nod, nod, signal that Hamas will be rewarded for what would in any other set of circumstances count as war crimes. But it goes further than this. Biden is insisting that it's time to re-enter negotiations over the appalling 2015 nuclear deal with Iran. Rightly, Israel believes that the deal opens a pathway for Iran to gain nuclear weapons. But those in the know say that whatever is agreed upon will lead to Iran getting nuclear weapons down the road, together with the fear that whatever is agreed will include billions of dollars in cash incentives to Iran in exchange for nuclear concessions. But the Iranian regime is one of the key Hamas supporters. So basically, the Biden administration is on the edge of indirectly providing funds to Hamas, using Iran as the money laundering mechanism. Here is the leader of the free world negotiating with Iran at a time of Middle East conflict when Iran is known to have provided Hamas with rocket systems, rocket parts, training and assembly, cash support, and everything else to what is a terrorist organisation. All of this on top of the more than $100 million the Biden administration has already allocated to the Palestinians this year, reversing a near total cut-off of funds under the previous administration. It's impossible to get your head around this. Hamas is a terrorist organisation funded by Iran. The leader of the free world thinks nothing at all about renegotiating a nuclear deal with Iran and potentially offering billions of dollars in exchange for some illusory nuclear concessions at a time when Iran are indirectly sponsoring Hamas and its allies, launching more than 1,000 rockets from Gaza targeting Israeli citizens. America under Biden has never been seen in a poorer light. As Jonathan Schanzer has written, the Senior Vice President for research at the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. And remember, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Writes Shancer, the White House appears to be casting its lot with the wrong side for the long term.